You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt Migaki, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey! What is going on, everybody? I hope everything is fine and groovy and awesome in your neck of the woods. I'm pretty excited about this episode, I'm not gonna lie. So many of you have emailed asking over the years. I think I said like 10 or 12, and then I looked back, and it's a lot more than that. So we're around the 20 mark. So a lot of you have requested Sarah on the program before. So this is gonna be really fun. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy it. And even better, she did stick around for a little bit of Patreon action. So there will be more of us discussing a whole bunch of nonsense over on Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/tonemob, you can see the different levels that are available there. But at $5 a month, that's all it is, you get extra episodes transported directly to your ears that nobody else gets to hear. That's right. Nobody else gets to hear those ones. Those are just for you. So yeah, if you want to slide over and check that out, that would be awesome. And without further ado, we're just going to get right into this episode with Sarah. So enjoy. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Sarah Lipstate. How's it going?
Hi. Today's going pretty well, I have to say.
That's good to hear.
I'm happy to be here talking to you.
Yeah, this is fun. I have to say, I think I said this in the initial email, but you're probably one of the most requested guests. Probably had about 12 to 15 different individuals ask for you over the last year or so. So this is a real treat. I'm excited.
Yeah, that is. I'm very flattered and happy that the people made this happen.
It's all about the people. We're just here trying to
give the people what they want.
Exactly. That's the only reason we do any of this stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, let's not take like too long. I've got a whole list of questions for you, and a lot of it generated from the Facebook group. But before we get into that, I feel like we need to start where I always start. And yours is probably pretty fascinating. What is your musical backstory? How did you didn't just like all of a sudden wake up one day to a huge pedal board? Like how did this happen?
So I didn't start playing guitar until I was 17. And it was, I had a little bit of a musical background in that my parents started me playing piano when I was in second grade. So I did that for 8 years. And then I played the trombone in middle school and high school. So when I started getting really into Sonic Youth and decided I wanted to get a guitar and like make noise rock, I told my parents, and they had been really supportive of me exploring music, but with the guitar they weren't really that excited about it. So it took me a little while. I think I was probably 16 when I told them I wanted a guitar, and they did end up getting me an acoustic guitar for Christmas. And I was like, technically, yes, this is a guitar. It's what I asked for. But I was like, I really wanted an electric guitar. So I got a summer job and saved up enough money to buy like the cheapest Dan Electro they had in the store. And so that's how I started out. Had a Dan Electro electric guitar and one of their Dirty 30 practice amps. So yeah, that was how I began my journey with the guitar. And I grew up in Lafayette, Louisiana, and you know, music stores we had were all local, like independently owned. I worked at one of them. That was my summer job. I was out in the back cleaning. They rented band instruments
Okay.
to kids, and my job was to clean the brass instruments.
Oh, you got to clean all the little kids' spit out of the instruments.
It was so gross. So I was in this. I usually refer to it as a shack. It was like a shack behind the music store. And I was in a little room that had like a rusted clawfoot tub, and it had these like plastic trash cans filled with this acidic solution.
Ooh.
So I had to wear these rubber gloves and dip like the trumpets, dip all the instruments in the trash can with the cleaning solution. And I remember one time I put a cornet into the solution and a cockroach floated out. And it was just like so disgusting. But yeah, I had to clean out the trombones. You have to use this little like snake tool. It has these like bristles on it, and you have to clean it out. So anyway, I did that for a whole summer, and got my Dan Electro. So yeah, those shops, they didn't have you know, huge selection of guitar pedals, and but I did buy my first guitar pedal from Lafayette Music, and it was an Ibanez TS7.
Oh, sweet.
So that was my very first pedal, and luckily, I when I graduated high school, I went to college in Austin at UT, and you know, if you've been to Austin, it's a pretty big music city, and they had a lot of music stores there, and so that was where I really started exploring effects. There were places that rented, you know, music equipment where you could go and rent pedals. So I could go and, you know, spend a little money just to play around with the pedal for a week or two, and figure out, you know, if it was something that I really needed to have. And I went to the pawn shops a lot, and you know, see just all kinds of different things in there. And so it was a much better environment for me to kind of explore things without necessarily having to, you know, spend a lot of money, which as a college student is a good thing.
It's a primary concern for sure.
Yeah. So it was really fun. So I guess my freshman, sophomore year, I added, in addition to the TS7, I added a Boss DD6 delay. Got my first Line 6 DL4, and I got the Moog, the ring modulator.
Okay, gotcha.
So I remember very distinctly like having just those few effects, you know, especially the looper, that allowed me to first experiment with guitar soundscapes and just, you know, plugging in on my own and working that way as opposed to just playing with other people. So that really kind of opened up my world a lot, and showed me just the benefits of having a pedal board.
Did you start playing by yourself the way you do, or were you playing with other musicians at this point first?
So yeah, when I was still in Louisiana, I didn't know anyone else who played. And one of the coolest things, so I did get for Christmas the next year, after I had saved up and bought my electric guitar, my parents did buy me a Fostex cassette 4-track.
Oh, sweet.
So probably that was my first experiments with recording, layered guitar soundscapes, was with that. So that was a way for me, feeling pretty isolated without having people to play with, to kind of get some creative satisfaction and just record little demos on these cassette tapes. When I moved to Austin, then I started meeting other people who played music and, were into the same types of bands that I was into. So I did start playing with other people. I kind of had a band with two girlfriends that I met there, where my friend Baxter and she also played guitar, and we were just like, it was back in the day when you're like walking down the street and you would see a flyer,
right,
that would say like, drummer and singer looking for other musicians. These are the type of bands we like. So we met a drummer that way, and we never played any shows or anything, but the three of us would get together and just play music. And so that was happening while I was still at my house, just in my bedroom with my headphones on, playing, just, looping and playing stuff on my own. So, yeah, it kind of evolved in parallel, I would say. But it was really nice to meet other like-minded musicians and just have other people to connect with, and not feel so isolated. So that was a really great experience playing with them.
That's great. Yeah, it's something else playing with others. It's kind of a weird. You get sometimes when everything's firing and on all cylinders, you get linked up in this weird, almost it almost feels like psychic way. It's like you know what's coming, even though you don't know what's coming, and it all just works. It's strange.
Yeah.
But what you do, I think because a lot of people try to do a similar thing, albeit not as successfully, namely people like me. But your sound and how you build and create things is so unique. Do you have any like sort of baseline rules that you go by when you're creating a new piece?
I don't. I don't have any kind of set process that I follow, or like in terms of rules. I sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes the pedals come first, and sometimes I just mess around with my guitar unplugged and come up with something, and then see what happens when I plug into my effects. But no. My approach is just kind of, I don't know, developed over many years of this weird kind of weird journey with the guitar. So I don't really have any answers for you. in that
So I have
in
to
that
keep
regard.
floundering by myself until I figure it out. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Okay, I can do
Yeah.
that. I'm a good flounderer, I suppose.
Sure.
That's all I do. Flop around, try to figure it out. So did you have any? Did you have like I want to be a musician with this stuff? Like some of the what you're describing almost seems like it's sort of those everything fell into place type moments, or was this intentional?
No, I knew that I wanted to play music, but I didn't think that it was going to become like the primary driving thing in my life. I didn't study music in college. I studied film, got my degree in film. It was always like what I did when I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. Like when I wasn't in class or wasn't, doing like working on school projects or whatever. It was just how I spent my free time and how I kind of navigated my social world, how I connected with people. I started dating a guy. We dated pretty much throughout my whole college time, and we started playing music together and started a band together. So it was just like how I related to people. So I don't know. I don't know at what point I think it was probably a very scary moment, much later on when I realized like, oh no, I'm going to try to like make a living doing this. And this is going to be my primary identity. And, I think that was probably terrifying. It's still terrifying thinking about that. But it just, that's how things evolved. And, it's, yeah.
It seems like a wild ride, and also I can relate to you.
Yeah.
Because that's very much a similar situation for me. It's always been a huge important part for me, but never did I actually think it was going to be my primary driver either. And now here we are.
Right.
Which is wild.
Yeah. I definitely have friends, who went to school for guitar and studied it. And, I have no training on guitar at all. I never took any lessons. I didn't want to learn I didn't want someone to tell me how to play the guitar. I was very stubborn about that. So, to find myself in the position I'm in it's hard for me to wrap my head around sometimes, but I'm very grateful to be here.
Do you remember your first solo show?
Yes.
Can we talk about that? Because that sounds like it would be particularly nerve-wracking, especially considering how you do things all by yourself.
Yeah. So it was interesting because I started releasing tracks and like little EPs under the name Noveller. So for people who don't know, I perform and release music under the moniker Noveller. So music was kind of out there floating around, or starting around 2005. And while I was still living in Austin, I'd gotten asked to play a show here and there, but for whatever reason, they never actually came to fruition. So it wasn't until I graduated college and I moved to Brooklyn in 2007 that the first real show opportunity came about. And the show was actually a festival called Sonic Circuits in Washington, D.C. And I was really intimidated. I was really terrified, and I had to figure out how to do a solo performance. So what I came up with, and this is like all the earliest Noveller shows. The guitar I used was an Epiphone SG double neck.
Oh, sweet.
That I did not wear it. I did not play it in like a traditional guitar. I laid it flat on a keyboard stand, and I had I had my violin bow, which is something I still use a lot. Had two ebows. That's the great thing about having two necks is you can have like two ebows going. You
Oh,
can do all
wow.
kinds of like really fun melodic drones. I've even gotten three ebows going on a double neck because you have like the 12 string and the 6-string neck. So I've gotten three ebows going, but at the time I had two ebows. I think I had like a slide, and then I had my little pedal board and my looper. So I think I came up with, it was probably like 15, maybe 20 minutes of music. And, it was fairly planned out. It was pretty, it was pretty experimental and loose. So it wasn't like this like rigid compositions, but it was like a kind of a planned out thing. And, yeah, I played my first show at Sonic Circuits, and it was it was an incredible feeling, and I don't think I'll forget it. And I have some great photos from that performance as well.
Even better.
I'd
love to see some of those. Are they up on the gram anywhere or anything like that? Or those?
Yeah. Where are they? Can I look at other things while we're recording on my phone?
If you got good internet, probably so.
Okay.
Or we can just link back to it later. That's probably
we can do that. I don't want to jeopardize our recording.
Yeah,
but
we'll put that in the show notes for later people to view. We can put a link in there. It'll be easy.
Yeah, it would be fun to look back and see if I can make out like everything that's on my pedal board. But I'm sure it's the pedals I mentioned earlier.
Which does kind of go into a nice segue that'll probably take a while. So I think this will be a nice thing to do. So from the Facebook group, we have lots of questions. Actually, I already told them we're not getting to all of these. So there's just too many. But so going from this first rig, we kind of have a good idea what that is, to the current rig, because Emily Harris wants to know, quote, all about her stereo setup. So as much detail as you can provide, the nerds are hungry.
Okay. Yeah. So my stereo setup, it's really when I started going using 2 amps and going in stereo, it really was a game changer for me. And now the newest pedal on my board is the tri-parallel mixer.
Oh yeah.
The new Electro-Harmonix mixer. So I just got that set up. So things are very, very exciting. But yeah. So I'm trying to think at what point things split off into stereo. I have all my all like the mono pedals, like the Mel 9, the Synth 9. Then I have my my overdrives and fuzzes. I just got a super fuzz pedal, which I'm really excited about.
The old Univox one, right?
Yes, yeah. I got like the classic orange and blue super fuzz. So I think from that point, from the super fuzz, it goes into the Eventide H9. And from that point on, everything's in stereo.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I think at the moment I can pull up a picture. It goes from the H9 into the Empress, the Zoya.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Whoa. That's supercomputer level already.
Yeah. And then, is that an old photo? Is that a current photo? The Zoya, and then I have the Maris petals.
Oh yes.
So, I've been experimenting with having the auto bit in there, because I'm trying to recreate this, like, bit crushed reverby sound, but I don't think that's in there at the moment. But the Poly Moon and the Mercury 7, and then things get a little funny because I'm obsessed with the reverb delay on the Chase Bliss Mood pedal.
Yes.
But that's not in stereo. So I have to branch off from the Mercury 7 reverb and have, like, the right channel go straight into one of the amps, and then the left channel go into the Mood. So you're only getting the Mood coming out of one of the amps.
Gotcha.
But I can't not have it because it sounds so good. I'm really into that. But that's how things are working at the moment.
That's
I think
incredible.
I answered that question. Yeah, I mean, wait, I have the Avalanche Run in there too.
I was gonna say no Avalanche Run. I thought that was a
staple.
staple.
I have the Avalanche Run. So I had to take the H9. So things are confusing right now because I have two separate boards.
Right.
I have a board for so I worked on the new Iggy Pop record. I wrote 3 like soundscape pieces for the album. We're going to be doing some promo stuff. So I had to learn the other songs, which are not ambient soundscape songs. They're like more, Iggy Pop rock songs.
Right.
So we're going to be playing one of those songs on the Jimmy Fallon show. So I have like my pedal train Nano set up with just what I need to play this pretty straightforward song. So I had to take the H9 off my board for that. But and then I took the Avalanche Run off. Anyway, yes, Avalanche Run is in the mix.
Gotcha. Well, can we just rewind that whole thing and talk about working with Iggy Pop, for crying out loud? That's insane. How did that happen?
Yeah. I would love to talk about it because it's like, a pretty mind-blowing, it's a mind-blowing thing, I have a picture of myself when I was 18 wearing an Iggy Pop shirt.
No way.
And playing my guitar, I'm playing this like Mexican Fender Strat, wearing my Iggy Pop shirt. I'm 18, and it's like, fast forward to 2019, and it's like I'm playing with him.
That's insane. That's so insane. I mean, for people who are into that type of music. I mean, that is our Elvis, in some ways. Like that is our, our king of rock and roll.
The Stooges were everything to me. So I'm definitely experiencing this opportunity very much as a fan. So, it carries that extra weight. And it's very meaningful, but yeah.
How did it happen though? Is it just he found you, or like you met at the right party?
Let me tell you how it happened.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
So I, I've been putting out albums as Noveller for many years, and just so happens Iggy has a radio program that he does for BBC Six.
Okay.
And in August of 2015, people started posting on my Facebook saying, Sarah, I can't believe I just heard Iggy playing one of your songs on his radio show. And I was like, what? And like someone posted a link to it. So I remember I was driving in the car with my mom. I was visiting my family in Louisiana. And I was like, Mom, we have to stream Iggy's radio show because people are saying he played one of my songs. So we're streaming it. And there it was. He played one of my songs off my album, Fantastic Planet. And not only that, he played it and then he talked about it and said that he had watched some videos of me on YouTube playing. And I forget the words he used, but he basically said really nice things about me as a performer and a guitar player and a musician. And I just had the biggest smile on my face. Like that was probably to date, one of the happiest moments for me.
I don't know how you could top that. So
I was just psyched by that, that was enough for me. And so yeah, that was in the summer of 2015. So if we fast forward to the beginning of 2016, I get a phone call from my booking agent. Let's say mid-January saying, hey, I just got a inquiry to see if you were available to go on tour with Iggy Pop and Josh Homme. And I was like, what? So anyway, yeah.
I am, as a matter of fact, available.
Yeah. It was insane. But anyway, so Iggy had invited me to open for him on the tour he was doing. They were supporting an album called Post Pop Depression that he made with Josh Homme. Josh, also, he produced the album and he played on it. And it was Dean Fertitta from Queens of the Stone Age also played on it. And it was just, this really crazy opportunity. So that eventually happened. The tour started in March. So all of a sudden I'm, on stage opening for Iggy, and we did a total of 17 shows together. And so over the course of that, it's not like Iggy, he pretty much, we did one big dinner after one of the shows. He saves up his energy all day to just give an incredible performance, and then he kind of just does his own thing. So it's not like we became really close on the tour. But anyway, so that's how he became familiar with my music and what I do. So I guess 2018, I just got an email from Iggy's manager, Henry, saying, hey, I think he said Iggy doesn't know that I'm sending this to you, but here's a recording of him doing a spoken word piece. I was wondering if maybe you could put some music to it, and I'll play it for him, and just don't have any expectations, but I just thought it would be cool to send this to you. So that was how things started.
Wow.
I recorded a soundscape to that and sent it off, and he was like, oh, Iggy really likes it. And then months later, another email hey, here's another piece. Here's another vocal. Iggy really likes, I did an all guitar cover of the theme from John Carpenter's The Thing.
Okay.
And Iggy had heard that, and he really liked it. And he was like, Iggy wants to know if you can do something kind of inspired by the Thing. And so I did that, and he was like, oh, Iggy really loves it. And so there's months and months later, and it's I've forgotten that this has even happened. And then it's hey, so we want to put those tracks out on like the album, and
Wow.
and now here we are. So the album's coming out on September 6th, and we're going to be doing just some promo stuff for it, but it's been just a very very kind of surreal experience, as you can imagine, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. Yes, that is... I mean, congratulations, first of all. That's pretty...
Thanks.
There's not very many people that get to say, I played on an Iggy Pop record.
No, and they gave me, so for my tracks, they gave me a producer credit. So,
Look at that.
My publisher is really happy about that, but
I'm sure. Yeah, that tends to make publishers quite pleased.
yeah. But anyway, so I think it'll be interesting to... Basically, my music opens the album and closes the album, and all the in between is kind of more what you would expect from an Iggy Pop album. So it's going to be really interesting to see what his audience makes of my soundscape stuff, and see how it's received. But yeah, so potentially it'll bring a much different audience to what I do. Hopefully, that's the hope.
That's always the goal. More people, please.
Yeah.
So I want to dive back into the Facebook group, because we do have some pretty good questions in here. One from our mutual friend Philippe Herndon from Caroline Guitar asked a really good question. Is there any internal overlap between her identity as Sarah Lipstate and Noveller, or is there a moment when she transforms into Noveller, whether it be when writing, performing, or recording?
That is a good question. I like to... Maybe I'm just kidding myself and thinking that they're separate, but I think that is why I chose to have a moniker to perform under, instead of just having everything be Sarah Lipstate, to have some distinction and hopefully some kind of boundary there,
right,
which is increasingly difficult with social media and just like the level of engagement that I personally like to have with people online and at shows. I'll be there like selling my own merch at the merch table and talking to people, and of course, if people come up after the show and want to talk about my pedal board, like I'll talk to people. I definitely make myself available in that sense, but I think that there is a distinction, and I definitely feel like when I'm on... Oh, Safi, hold on. Uh-oh. My cat just knocked my water bottle over.
Oh no.
It went everywhere. Safi. Now she's drinking the puddle of water that she made. I hope you're pleased with yourself.
I feel like Safi. That was on purpose. Like very on purpose right now.
Yeah.
I see how it is.
You little jerk. There's a waterfall happening right now on my kitchen table. All right. There we go.
Okay, we can pause this. It's okay.
It's fine. I fixed it.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm leaving that in, so whatever.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Anyway, the boundaries get a little bit... I'm assuming the lines get finer and finer every day. Is that kind of where you're going with that?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's been... I feel like I identify Noveller much more now as like my on-stage persona.
Mm-hmm.
Because what's happening now, as I've gained more of an audience, through my Instagram and talking about pedals and just sharing all of the process stuff is like people know me now from Instagram, and all my social media is like my name. It's either at Lipstate, which is my Instagram, or on Twitter I'm at Sarah Lipstate. So people now are like, oh, you're Lipstate. Like, if I'm at NAMM or something.
Right.
And people recognize me. So it's more like there is a further distinction drawn. So it's gotten to a point where sometimes I wonder when I'm posting stuff on Instagram about Noveller, it's like, do people even get that that's what I do? That I'm not just someone who, nerds out about guitar pedals. Like I put records out and I tour, I do all this stuff. So it's very confusing. Even I get confused. But I will say when I am on stage and I'm, building these guitar soundscapes, like I feel in that moment, that's definitely, a whole different thing happening. So, we'll see. Ask me again in like 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. We'll revisit this in 5 years. Well, hopefully sooner than that. But we can revisit this.
Yeah.
Whenever. So there was a really good question dropped that I personally don't even know if I could answer very well, and I feel like for you it's even more impossible, but we're gonna try it anyway.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
what is this question?
It's pretty.
Why didn't I know that people? I should have looked on your Facebook group. I should have cheated.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess you could have. I didn't.
Well, I didn't.
I probably could have told you about
it. Now I'm.
That would have been probably the nice thing to do. I don't always remember to ask the group for questions.
Yeah.
Because the last 3 times I have done that, something's happened and the guest had to cancel or reschedule, and so I got like very very, what's the word, superstitious, where I even said, I was like, I don't know if I should do this because this is like sabotaged every podcast, but here's some questions. As soon as we were having those technical difficulties before we started, I was like, I knew I shouldn't ask the freaking questions. I just knew it. The
curse of the Facebook group.
Yes. Sorry, guys. But so this is a question. I don't know how you're going to answer this, but we'll try it. So Emilio Rizzo, he wants to know, if you could only use 3 pedals for a set, what would they be?
I like that question better than I hate it when people ask like what my favorite pedal is or favorite anything. I don't like that. So 3, that's a little more possible. But I don't know. I think when I think about being restricted like that, then I automatically want to go to like, okay, well, like which pedals can do the most stuff?
Me too.
So of course the Eventide H9, I would use that because I could pretty much have that do whatever I needed in terms of delay, reverb, synth stuff, etc. And then the Zoya, which also feels like cheating. It's basically like with those 2 pedals, it'd be like having 2 laptops on your board, It's like they can do so much stuff.
Yeah, those are robust for sure.
Yeah, and then I would need to have that. Well, and then it's a given. I would have to have my boomerang looper. So
this is weird.
I feel like I could play a set with that.
I'm mentally. I guessed your answers without like actually thinking that. Like I was like, I bet it's gonna be the H9, the Zoya, and the boomerang. Like,
well, there you go. There you go. I am either very predictable or pretty transparent about. Yeah.
Well, I kind of did the same math you did. I got asked that question about 4 pedals here a few months ago, and I was like, 4? Don't be ridiculous. That's not enough pedals. And so I did the same thing. I was like, okay, well, out of what I have, what does the most? And then I was like, well, she's got a Zoya and an H9. Those can do almost anything. So yep. That's That's pretty versatile right there.
And it could be in stereo still.
Exactly.
Still go in stereo, so
Good stuff.
You know.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about Iggy, and we talked a little bit about Sonic Youth early on. Who are some of your other influences?
Yeah, so in terms of influences, I love Robert Fripp. I love all the Fripp and Eno ambient records. That's pretty much what I listen to on any given day. Just listen to a lot of that. Glenn Branca was a huge influence on me, and Reese Chatham, just their recordings of the guitar ensembles and just hearing how powerful the guitar can be. That was just like a revelation to me. So yeah, all that had a huge impact on me. Sonic Youth, was a big one, but yeah. And in terms of live performances that influenced me, I saw when I was in college, I saw Nels Cline do a solo guitar set.
Oh, wow.
That was like basically the noise guitar solo set. That was incredible. That had a huge impact on me early on. Those are definitely the big ones.
Nels is something else. Like, I like Wilco.
Yeah.
I'm not like the biggest Wilco fan on the planet, but I definitely enjoy Wilco. But I caught them live with some of my friends here a few years ago, and obviously I've watched Nels before. I know what's up when with what that guy does, but still watching him live, I mean, I could listen to like that Impossible Germany solo is ingrained in my brain, like that live performance of it that I witnessed. It's like, that's what I want to do. I'm never going to be able to do it, but that's what I want to do. It's that guy's one of the best guitar players I've ever seen. I totally get it. And catching him live is, I think I've seen heard his recorded work. I've watched a bunch of YouTube videos, but you catch him live and it's like breathtaking. It really is.
Exactly.
So good.
Yeah, it was something to behold.
So one thing I wanted to talk to you about is the Moon Canyon. That was quite a project. Yeah. How did that come to life?
So, I guess I became acquainted with Dr. No in 2016 through that's when I was supporting Iggy on tour, and at the time, Dr. No was working on a signature pedal collaboration with Troy Van Leeuwen, he plays with Josh Homme and Dean in Queens of the Stone Age, and he was also playing guitar on that tour. So I guess when we played, Dr. No is based in the Netherlands, so we played in Amsterdam, maybe. Anyway, that was how he became aware of my work and how I became aware of his stuff. And he got in touch with me after the tour and said that he was interested in collaborating on a special pedal. And he made several trips out to Los Angeles, and that was when he brought me like the first prototype of the Moon Canyon. I think he came out once he was done with Troy's signature pedals. There ended up being 2 of those, so he like delivered them to Troy, and then he brought me the prototype. So it was pretty cool for being this long distance collaboration, and it was my first time collaborating in that way with with a pedal maker. So it was, it's definitely a learning process for me. Um, but God, I mean, it's such a beautiful pedal. I was blown away with the design, and he everything's built by hand. Even the box that it comes in, it's this giant book, like that's made by hand. Just it was really um yeah, I was so pleased with how everything turned out. I mean, there's a price tag that comes with that level of craftsmanship, and just how slow going the build process is. So,
Of course.
that's also something that I learned. But yeah, it's it's a super cool pedal. I use mine a lot. I use it on the Iggy recordings, the soundscapes that I created for the album. And I've used it when I've done kind of like workshop type things, but I am a little afraid to like have it on my board and travel with it.
Right. 'Cause it's such an art piece as well.
It is. It's so beautiful. Like, it hurt me so much to put Velcro on the back of it. For I did this workshop for this Ableton convention, and of course, I had to have it on there. But I was like, oh, it's like, yeah, it's like defacing a piece of art.
Yeah, I understand.
But anyway.
Was there anything about the process that kind of was eye-opening about like the pedal building world? Was it like things that took you by surprise, or was it all pretty much what you expected?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, my dog.
Done with the bone.
Yeah, she's taking a break. She's taking a barking break. Yeah, it's interesting to see how ideas get transferred into the realm of like what's possible and what's practical. So, up until this point, I believe everything that Dr. No created was all analog delay. I don't think he had created any reverb pedals, but he did the Mother Brain analog delay. Obviously, he's done a lot of drives and fuzzes and that type of thing. So for people who don't know, the Moon Canyon, it's one pedal. It has a overdrive circuit. It has a long reverb. It's a digital reverb, and it has an analog sounding yet digital delay, as well as an effects loop. And since I think I threw that in there kind of at the last moment, was like, oh, I'm running a stereo board now. Can you put a stereo out? So it's not a stereo out, but it's a dual mono out. So yeah, based on what I was asking for, he did kind of have to cross over from all analog into the dirty world of digital.
Dirty digital.
Yeah, dirty digital. But I think he took a lot of care to retain the analog characteristics. So, like I said, with the delay, it is it's a very warm and analog-y digital delay. So, I guess that's compromise in a sense.
Right.
He was willing to meet me, and then, I think when I look back on the project, I would say is more, he took inspiration from when he came to visit in LA. He was able to see me perform live. So just like taking inspiration from what I do and combine it with what he does and like craft a pedal that's kind of inspired by my work. So, I think that's great. And I think, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and, would love to collaborate in that world in the future. I think I don't yet have the skills to build my own pedals, but I have plenty of ideas. So, it's cool to make that partnership happen.
Yeah, I know, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just swimming in ideas. I've done a couple collabs with the podcast myself. Nothing quite to that level though.
Yeah.
But I just, the more I got into the reason I asked the question, it was like there was so many things that I was like, oh, I didn't know that's why this is like industry standard, or that's why this is the way this is done. Like there's been so many parts of that process that I was just, because I'm not a builder either, I was like, oh, that's why that stupid idea I had is not going to work, and why nobody's done it yet, type of thing. So I was just curious to get your take on it as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So we're getting down to the last couple minutes, and I've got a couple questions for you that are kind of they've become staples. So I'd love to get your take on it.
Okay.
So first one is, what is your favorite Boss pedal?
Well, I don't do favorites, but there is only one Boss pedal that I still own and use.
Okay.
From many years ago. So I still have a place in my heart and on my pedal board for the Boss PS5.
Ah.
Specifically the T-arm mode.
Okay.
So I set it down to 2 octaves, and so when you hold down the foot switch, it'll just dive down this really nice glissando down 2 octaves, and I've used that a lot in my music on recordings. And so I recently just performed a song from an older album live for a video shoot I did with Reverb. They're making a pedal documentary, and they asked me to perform a piece of music that's they want to open the whole film. So I performed this piece of mine that fit like the mood and the description of what they wanted for this.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to break out the PS5
Nice
for it. Yep.
Oh,
So
I
talked about it for the documentary. It's pretty cool.
So I went from kind of forgetting that the PS5 existed to it being mentioned so many times in this segment that I'm like, I'm going to go to, like, as soon as you said that, I was like, I'm buying a PS5 today. Like, I'm going to go find one.
Yeah. I mean, I only use it in that mode. But it's really great. And it's just, something that it's a part of some of my older pieces of music, and I just can't do it without that pedal. I mean, I could probably figure out a way, but I don't want to. And it's cool. It's like, having an old friend come around. It's, it's nice.
Nice.
Granted, I haven't owned a ton of Boss pedals in my time. But, yes. You asked the question, there's my answer.
There's the answer. Great. And I also want to let the record show, because the Reverb people told me not to talk about the pedal, the pedal documentary yet. I didn't say it, Sarah did.
I mean, so Michael Lux, he was in charge of this shoot, and afterward he like posted a picture. He posted a couple of pictures from the shoot, and with like the tag pedal documentary. So I reposted it. I was like, oh, I guess it's cool to talk about it. No one yelled at me.
Okay, good.
So,
all right.
And he responded because people were asking questions like, oh, when's this coming out? And he responded saying, 2020 and whatever. So I think it's okay to talk about it.
Okay, good.
All right. Feel free to just like, don't edit it out. Just like bleep out the mention of it. So people will be intrigued.
Maybe I will. I'll think about. I'll listen back to that and I'll say I played this piece for this. Boo. Yeah, people think like, wow, exactly. They're not gonna know. No. It's when they come. They're supposed to come to Portland, and I'm supposed to be I told them I'd be their chauffeur and food guide when they landed.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. Like really excited.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to watch your piece too. That I did not know. So this is thrilling.
Yeah. I mean, if they hear this podcast, they might cut me out.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
But
I think you're good. I think you'll be safe.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cool.
All right. So the next question, and this is the one that causes the most hate and discontent on the whole show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a bit controversial. But what kind of pizza do you like?
Oh, people are not going to like my answer. So I will say I rarely eat pizza, but if I do, it's going to have a ton of vegan cheese, which I don't care if it's weird and kind of gross. Like I love it. It's probably gonna have like a really gross cauliflower crust. Basically, it's not gonna be a pizza at all.
Okay.
It'll be just like a cauliflower crust with tomato sauce and a ton of vegan cheese.
You're getting as close as you can.
Maybe like some sliced mushrooms or some peppers. You gotta have some oregano. It'll be just a monstrosity. I mean, just send all the hate mail directly my way. That's fine because I'm okay with it.
She can handle it. She's strong. She knows. She can handle it.
It's fun. I embrace that. That's just who I am now. I am like a cauliflower crust, vegan cheese eating pizza. I'm doing air quotes right now. Pizza person. So
if you're happy about it, that's really all that matters.
I don't know if it makes me happy, but it's just, it's just who I am now.
Okay.
So
that works. That works for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for hanging out. This has been really a treat. I'm glad we finally were able to do this.
Of course.
And
me too. It was fun.
Would you like to leave the people with any thoughts where they can find you and all that jazz?
Where you can find me. You can find me. Yeah. I think I mentioned it, but you can find me on Instagram posting about all kinds of nerdy stuff. You'll see pedals, you'll see my cat, my dog, guitars, video clips of stuff I'm working on. Instagram, I'm at Lipstate. And yeah, you can probably find me other places as well, but I definitely engage the most on that platform. So we'll leave it at that.
Perfect. That works for me.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. For Sarah, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, we did it. We did it. Thank you for tuning in. If for some reason you have never heard Sarah's music, please get yourself to the Google machine and fix that as soon as you can. If you are into all the stuff we talked about, you're going to like it. It's really, really good. Very unique. And again, stuff that I try to do, but really badly. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible to watch your work. So, yeah, I think that's it for this week. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter for all the free pedals and all that stuff, like we've talked about a million times. I won't rehash it here, but basically, we have trivia that goes out to the mailing list, and once a month, there's an opportunity for people to win some free stuff. So don't forget about that, and I think that's a pretty good place to wrap this up. So I will talk to you next week. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.